Senators Bob Menendez, Mark Kirk, and Chuck Schumer may have just on their own ruined peace negotiations with Iran. Now, what they did is they pushed Iran in the opposite direction of what they claim they wanted Iran to do. Now, they're in favor of Iran not getting a nuclear weapon, not seeking a nuclear weapon. That's what they were going to do until these guys fucked it up. Quote, nearly 100 hardline members of Iran's parliament declared their support for a new bill this week requiring the government to enrich uranium to near bomb grade levels. Why did they do that? That's the important question. Well, according to the article, as a, quote, direct response to a group of U.S. senators pushing legislation that would add additional sanctions on Iran. So if you remember a few days ago, we talked about this, that group of senators there proposed a bill to put more sanctions on Iran, to which President Obama and John Kerry responded, what are you doing? We have a peace deal with them. They will not try to get a nuclear weapon. They will not continue to enrich uranium. They will not. They will allow the UN in there and the International Atomic Energy Agency to verify that they're not doing what they promised they wouldn't do. And in return, we loosen some sanctions on them. Not all of them, but we loosen some sanctions on them. Now, the deal had already gotten kind of shaky, because supposedly some people in the U.S., I believe part of the executive branch, not Obama himself, but other people, they tried to slip in provisions that added some certain business sanctions, and Iran almost stepped away from the table and said, what are you doing, man? We had a deal. Why are you, trying to make it worse at the last second? But on top of that, and the worst thing anybody could ever do, a bipartisan group in Congress, and the people I just named, Menendez, Kirk, and Schumer, they're like, let's sanction Iran in the middle of these peace negotiations, undermining the president's efforts and undermining common sense. Do you not want peace? So that begs the question, why did the senators do it? Well, I don't think the answers are pretty. I mean, first of all, I think they're idiots. I think they flat out don't care about the consequences of their actions. I don't think they give a damn about peace with Iran. I don't. In fact, I think they probably sleep better at night if there's a continuing feud to one degree or another with Iran. These guys are warmongers, and they take a lot of money from defense contractors, so they're very willy-nilly pro-war in so many different circumstances. But here's another part, and last time we talked about this story, I didn't realize it, but they take a lot of money from the Israel lobby, AIPAC. So who does that group represent? It represents the right-wing government of Israel. So Benjamin Netanyahu and the Likud party, and those guys, they thrive on war. They're like the neoconservatives in Israel. So all the while they play the victim, and they say, oh, these dirty, bad Palestinians, evil, evil, evil. Anyway, let's extend our settlements even further into the occupied territories and piss them off even more, so when they fire some more makeshift rockets that go about 75 feet into Israel, we'll respond even more and crack down even more and push the occupied settlements even further. So guess what? When Chuck Schumer and Bob Menendez and Mark Kirk take money from AIPAC, take money from the Israel lobby, take money from defense contractors, all of a sudden, they're not really all that in favor of peace, and they will actively undermine negotiations that were going somewhere. So honestly, when I read this, I thought that every single one of those guys should step down. I do believe that. Now, of course, they're not going to, and nobody bats an eyelash, because a lot of politicians, a lot of congressmen take money from AIPAC, take money from the Israel lobby, take money from defense contractors. But I'll tell you something, man, this is beyond disgusting. Like when you take something as serious as war, and you take something as serious as making peace with people who we disagreed with in the past, and you have senators who just flat out don't want to do it. They're just not interested in peace. Okay, well, sorry, guys, it doesn't much fucking matter what you're in favor of, Chuck Schumer and Bob Menendez and Mark Kirk. What matters is what the American people are in favor of, and the polls on this are overwhelming. Everybody, Democrat, Republican, Independent, everybody's in favor of peace with Iran. The only people that aren't are you. And every time we talk about Iran, I always have to bring up this fact because it drives me nuts that people don't understand history. The U.S. overthrew a democratically elected government in Iran. to put in a dictator that was kind to our own needs. I mean, you want to talk about a classic imperialist move. Mohammad Mossadegh was the name of the president we ousted. And then we put in the Shah, a brutal dictator that nobody liked. And then we are going to lecture them about what weapons they can and cannot have, and if they're acting right in the international stage, and if we should put sanctions on them. We should be apologizing to them. Are you kidding me? You know how they attacked Obama for an apology tour? First of all, he didn't do one. Second of all, he should have done one. Because guess what? Oftentimes the U.S. acts like a drunken idiot around the world. Because we think after World War II, we thought, well, we rightfully run the world. We fell into the same trap that every other world power had in the past. Whether you go to the ancient Greeks or the ancient Romans or the Turkish Empire or the Malian Empire, the different dynasties in China. You can go on and on, all the different areas that at one time or another ruled the world. And guess what? They all realized after a while, whoops, wasn't a good idea. Looks like nobody could do it. We haven't learned that lesson yet, and it's kind of pathetic.